I never doubted that betrayal would come from within. It was a bright Sunday morning when I stumbled upon the ugly truth that shattered my life. The man I had looked up to, who had been more of a father figure than an uncle, had sold the family property behind our backs and pocketed every single penny. Our family always valued integrity, and I grew up listening to my father and Uncle Joe talking about the importance of keeping promises and staying true to one's word. My father had passed away 3 years ago, leaving Uncle Joe as the closest relative I had. He was a charming man in his late 50s, with a streak of silver hair and a hearty laugh that filled a room. Even though we lived in different states, he in Nevada and I in Colorado, we maintained a close relationship, often visiting each other during holidays. The family property was a large expanse of land in the countryside, nestled near a tranquil lake with a view that could take your breath away. It had been in the family for generations, a legacy my father and his siblings inherited. There was never a question of selling it since it was meant to be passed down to future generations. It was where my cousins and I spent our summers, where we built memories playing hide and seek amidst the woods and fishing by the lake. Then came the first hint that something was amiss. Uncle Joe started talking about potential buyers who were interested in properties in that area. I remember the casual way he brought it up during one of our calls. "You know, Mike, with the real estate market booming, we could make a fortune if we ever thought about selling our land." At the time, it seemed like a simple musing, something said in passing. I dismissed it, trusting that Uncle Joe was merely making an observation. Besides, he had always been the savvy businessman, and I had faith he would never act against the family's interest. But then the signs became clearer. During a family gathering, I overheard him talking to someone about real estate offers. His voice had that tone of excitement, the kind you get when you've struck gold. When I asked him about it later, he waved it off, saying it was just old friends discussing business, nothing serious. Yet, there was something in his eyes that didn't quite match his words. Several weeks later, I received a letter in the mail. It was from a real estate company thanking me for our gracious sale of the property. My heart sank as I read the words over and over, hoping it was some sort of mistake. I immediately called Uncle Joe, my mind racing with confusion and a hint of panic. He didn't answer, and that was the first time I felt a knot of suspicion tightening in my chest. Desperate for answers, I dug deeper. I spent sleepless nights going through old emails and documents, trying to find any piece of evidence that could explain what was happening. I finally found it. A document showing the sale of the family property, signed by none other than Uncle Joe. It was dated 2 months ago, a time when he had come to visit me, laughing and sharing a drink like nothing was amiss. The realization was like a punch to the gut. He had sold our heritage, our childhood sanctuary, and kept the windfall for himself. As if that wasn't enough, I discovered he had sold it for nearly double the property's value, banking a small fortune that should have been shared among the family. My heart was heavy with betrayal. The man I looked up to had shattered every ounce of trust one had in him. The months following my discovery were a blur of anger and grief. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, and my mind was a whirlwind of emotions. I felt like a fool for ever trusting him. The family was unaware, and I couldn't bring myself to crush them with the truth just yet. I needed a plan, a way to expose his betrayal and ensure he faced the repercussions. Determined to fight back, I decided to take matters into my own hands. I gathered every piece of evidence I had: the sale document, email exchanges with the real estate company, and even bank transaction records that showed the amount he had received. I reached out to a lawyer, a family friend who had known us for years, and laid out everything I had discovered. We devised a plan to bring Uncle Joe to justice, legally and publicly. Armed with the legal backing and a solid case, I reached out to a local journalist who had an interest in real estate fraud stories. She was intrigued and agreed to run a piece on the betrayal, making sure every sordid detail was aired for the world to see. The plan was meticulous. A family reunion was coming up, a perfect stage for confrontation. I would reveal everything in front of the family, and the journalist would publish the story shortly after. As the day approached, I steeled myself for the confrontation, knowing that once the truth was out, there was no going back. The day of the reunion arrived, and the family gathered at my cousin's house. Laughter and chatter filled the air, reminiscent of happier times. I waited till everyone was seated before I stood up, my heart pounding in my chest. "I have something important to discuss," I began, my voice calm but filled with steely determination. Uncle Joe sat across from me, unaware of the storm about to descend. I recounted the story of the property, our heritage, and how it was deceitfully taken from us. As I presented the evidence, the room fell silent, eyes widening with disbelief and betrayal. Uncle Joe's face turned a shade of red, his confident demeanor faltering as the truth unfolded. The climax came when I revealed the journalist's article, ready to go live with the touch of a button on my phone. The family was shocked, and Uncle Joe's attempts to defend himself crumbled under the weight of undeniable evidence. The aftermath was swift and impactful. Uncle Joe's reputation was in ruins. The article spread like wildfire, and he faced public humiliation. The family was devastated, but also supportive, rallying together to ensure he faced legal consequences for his actions. With the help of my lawyer friend, we filed a lawsuit to reclaim our share of the proceeds from the sale. As for me, a sense of victory washed over me. I had fought back against the betrayal and succeeded in ensuring justice was served. The process taught me the importance of vigilance and the strength to stand up against wrongdoing, no matter how close to home it may be. In the following months, my life took a turn for the better. I invested my share of the reclaimed funds into a business venture that flourished beyond my expectations. I found a renewed sense of purpose and confidence, surrounded by family who supported and relied on me more than ever before. Uncle Joe's betrayal became a cautionary tale in our community,